I see, thank you, Susan, for starting it. My moderator today, my lovely assistant today is Susan. She's going to be handling the questions in the chat and keeping the recording going and making sure everyone gets a chance to ask what they need to ask, and but keeping things quiet in between so that we don't have keyboards rattling or um, random dinner recipes being discussed, things like that. I see several of you who were here yesterday. I'm delighted that you all came back because today is I know some of the beginners will probably find this a little hard to put under your hands, but if you're here and you were in the beginner class yesterday and are truly a beginner, listen and try it anyway, because this is where you're going. And if you're here as an intermediate player, depending on how often you play and how much of this you're already familiar with, some of it might be repetitive or well done for you, and some of it might be new nuggets. I don't know, because I'm the general scope of the class. Intermediate is always a hard one to hit because you're never sure how intermediate the intermediate is. So hat tip to Suzanne Friend, because last night John Weed and his son Tyler had a wonderful session that we all kind of dropped in and played with, and I asked the lads if they would play a polka set, and we all played the polkas and had a good time. And Suzanne dropped a little chat message that said, "Hey, you seem really comfortable with the polkas. Could we go over polkas tomorrow?" And I had already had it in my list of things to cover, but in thinking about it last night and looking for that sort of connective tissue between all the tunes for the intermediate thing, I got to thinking about basic patterns I do for polkas and slides and hornpipes, and I realized there's sort of a motor skill that connects them all that we all know because we see it on guitar players, but we never really talk about it in the drum world. And it's something that the top end style players use all the time. So we're going to talk about the magic stroke itself, which sounds so simple, but it's down, down, up in multiple combinations connected with things I'm going to call turning phrases, which are like the ways you get out of patterns back into patterns, or the way you hold something before you move to another pattern. And that's how you can take the little building blocks that we used yesterday, as well as we'll build today, and customize them for the tune you're listening to, because maybe one tune is very heavy on the one and light on the three, and another one might be reversed and be light on the one and heavy on the three, has a different offset feeling to it, and you want to be able to match that when you play it. And having these little building blocks that you can turn in different orders is how you invent your accompaniment on the fly. Like it's good to have these sort of long patterns under your hand, but when you get tired of playing the same pattern all the time, or you find that you want to sing with your drum more with the tune and not just be sort of a steady rhythm under it, that's when you know you're ready to sort of start experimenting with breaking up patterns into small pieces and reassembling the Legos to fit with a leg, puzzle pieces, everyone always uses that analogy, but puzzle pieces only fit together one way. With Lego bricks, for example, or other kinds of building blocks, you can build anything you want out of them, right? So these are the sort of connective pieces I'm going to talk about. So just a very quick review from yesterday for those of you who were here. When we were doing the 4 basic reel patterns, right? The motor skill that I taught you then was down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? And then we dropped a couple of notes, down, down, up, 2, 3, down, down, up, 2, oh, that's the jig. Down, 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 down. Although we were dropping notes, we were pretty much using the same motor skill, right? It was just a down, up with no reverses really on the stick. A lot of tunes like a reverse. So I taught you the gallop, which was down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. We're going to use that a lot more today because that turns out to be a magic stroke. That double down with an upstroke between it, or a down with a hold and a down up, or a down, down, right? There's still a down, down, up, or a down, up, down, one of those 2 magic bricks, but the way you lock them together can make different kinds of rhythms. So for example, a straight reel, 1, 2, 3, 4, if I was playing it for a jig, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, it's the same pattern, but it's da ga da 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 da instead of. So if I use the bass to accentuate the ones, I'll do this slower. 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1. So that wasn't a very good demonstration. I'll just cop to that. But the idea is that you take these down, down ups or down, up, downs, depending on which way you're emphasizing it, and you link them with little turning phrases, which are just the straight motor rhythm you learned yesterday. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, sort of thing. So to break that down and have us all practice it and start talking about how it lends itself to these other kinds of rhythms. We did reels yesterday and jigs yesterday, 4/4 and 6/8. Today I thought I would walk you through hornpipes, which are 2/2. Well, actually first slides, because slides often people want to play a jig rhythm to them. And this is the jig rhythm I taught you yesterday. Down, down, up to 3, down, down, up to 3, down, down, up to 3, 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? That rocking back and forth of a 6/8. If you're hearing something that sounds like a super fast jig, odds are actually really good you're not listening to a jig, you're listening to a slide, which is a single jig, not a double jig. And a single jig is more like one hop, one hop, one hop, one hop, or and one, and one, and one, and one. And it's written on the page as like a quarter note, a quarter note and an eighth note. I think they call it in Irish crotchet and quaver, crotchet and quaver, crotchet and quaver, crotchet and quaver. So that sounds like this. So I'm going to teach you that because it has some of that down, down, up in it. It has the tap, which is a lighter version of the pop that I taught you yesterday. Yesterday, I told you if you make a cup out of your hand and you put it right up against sort of the top of your drum and you close that little cup over the skin and you hit the drum head right where that little cup is with great force, you get a pop, right? And we practiced that yesterday. The tap version of that is with the hand a little farther down the drum head. It's sort of midway down the drum, and it's not quite as cupped, and you don't hit the drum with as much force. It's a lighter stroke, but it's an accent stroke that you can use with the other strokes. So the rhythm we're going to do for the slide, which is instead of doing 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, which at speed we wouldn't probably be able to play easily for a slide, we're going to do that tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down. That's the secret to playing fast, is small and wider with less fill notes. So what we're going to do slowly is make that tap stroke just by sort of going straight against the drum head, tap, and then you're going to pull your hand away from the drum so that it's open and do the down. So slowly we'll go tap down, 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 tap down. Now, like I said, when you're playing with a tune, there will be these turns at the end of an A section or the end of the A to the B, and it's nice to add a little embellishment there that shows that you're tracking with the tune and that you're following. There's often a very notey little piece right there. So in ours, that tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, down is what we would do as a little embellishment at the end. So that's just a down, up, down, like you learned yesterday, but the order of it is tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, down, down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, Everyone got that out there?
May
Yes.
we have a request from
Oh,
Gwen. She,
I can
I
see
don't
that.
know,
There we go.
well, yeah, they want you to angle your camera down a little bit.
Okay.
See.
Let me see if
Yeah.
I can get that a little more. Thank you. I
Sure.
just glanced over and saw something about a camera. Thank you, Susan,
Yeah,
for relaying it.
no
Okay,
problem.
you won't see me as much, but you'll see the drum, which is the important part. So to see that again, let's do that again. That is tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down. Everyone look like you've got it out there? It looks like it. Okay. So let's do that a little bit faster because speed is where we're going, but I want you to feel it at that rhythm so far. So let's try that a little faster. Tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down. So that's about half speed for a slide. Slides are usually really, really quick. So when you are hearing a slide in a pub, you'll often hear so that's where we're going someday. But starting with that slow piece, the taps and the downs and the down up to connect it, we'll be doing something similar with both hornpipes and polkas. And I'm going to teach you the top end style triplet so that you can practice it. We'll do it slow first and then move on. Any questions so far? Okay, I don't see.
Krista,
Yes?
I have a question. When you do just the down, up after the first tap, do you unmute your drum?
No, I'm leaving that one muted so that it has a different sound to the big bass note. So it's tap down, the down is the big bass note, right? Tap down, tap down, tap down, and then I mute the whole drum sort of mid-line. I don't put my hand totally flat against it. I leave just a little bit of air gap so that it's enough to mute the drum a little bit, but not totally muffle the tone. And I play the next bit on the opposite side of the drum from where my hand is, so that tap goes down, up, tap. It's all right where my hand is, and because I have that little bit of space, it keeps the drum from ringing, but it still sort of makes a slightly higher pitched tone out of it, and then you can drop the down. The next down will come out as a big bass note again, right? Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, so that's reserving the bass notes for the big emphases in the, I'm using that syllable the wrong way, because a good friend of mine, Joey Abarta, pointed out to me that slides are like jigs, but the emphasis is on the other syllable, right? So instead of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it's, the first down up is like a pickup, up, down, then down, and down, and down, and down, and down, and down is sort of how the slides go, even though they're still in 6/8. They're just, when we do regular jigs, they're in threes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it's more in duples, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, when you're playing for slides. That probably doesn't make much sense without looking at a piece of music. So as with yesterday, I haven't had a chance to make them yet, but I will make exercise sheets for each one of these rhythms too, so you can practice them, and I will do little videos of each rhythm as we go along. So that's, but I haven't had a chance to film them yet, and I haven't had a chance to finish the resource sheet from yesterday yet, so I will work on all of those later tonight and tomorrow. Keep checking back to that Google Drive that I posted the link for. So let's practice that one more time so you can do the tap down and the little down up tap that is the connector, because it will lend itself well to the next one, which is a hornpipe. So this one will be, let's do that again sort of slowly, and then I'll get a little piece of music. Or actually, do you want to practice it without music first or do it with music? Which would you prefer? And put your hand up if you want to do it without music first. Okay, I see like 2 or 3. If you'd rather do it with music. Oh, it's almost even. All right, well, let's do it without the music first, and then we'll do it with music, and then we'll move on to hornpipes. And as we go along, I'll try to show you how we're using the same stroke, but just different timings of the same stroke. It's like the magic stroke. So this one, the basic stroke for the slide again, we'll do that, which is the tap down. So we'll do it at a reasonable speed, and then I will intentionally speed you up a little. And then we're gonna go to the music and I will see if we have a right speed. You know, they have the beautiful speed it up or slow it down on YouTube, and then we'll play to some music, okay? All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down. I'm gonna speed you up next. Tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down. You look like you've all got it, so I'm gonna make you go a little faster. Ready? Tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down. Hands up if that last one was a little too fast. No? Oh, only for one. That's okay. That means you're starting to feel it. Now the key, as I said yesterday, to going faster is to make your movements smaller. Less movement of the arm and sort of closer together on the head so that you don't have to move around so much with the tipper. So let's play that up against music so you can hear how that fits with a hornpipe. I'm hopeful that this will make sense. Hold that thought. Let's go to this one. I probably won't get you started right at as soon as I hit play. We'll come in just a few moments behind the start and we'll play. Let me check the tempo. Here we go. It's fairly fast, but we'll try it, right? So this is O'Keefe's slide. So here we go. Tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap. Yeah, that's gonna be too fast. Hold on, let me slow her down. And we'll start it over. We'll go to about 65. All right, let me start it over again. Let's try it here. Okay. Ready? Tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down. Tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down. Okay, I'm gonna stop it for a second and show you what I mean by the same tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down we've been doing. If we just play that all the way through, it'll get pretty monotonous. But if you take pieces of that, you take the little turning piece, tap down, up, tap down, right? Tap down, up, tap down. If you repeat that a couple times before you drop the big bass note, you can do things in the turn of the tune. I hope you'll be able to hear this as I vary them. I'll try to, I'll slow it down just a little bit more even. We'll take it down to half speed. We'll see how that sounds. All right, let's see. So that I can try to talk through them. How I would change up those bits with the tune. Tap down, tap down, tap. Tap down, up, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap. Tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, up, tap down. It's really slow. is a pulse you can put in between as a turning note. So if that makes any sense, there are ways to hold space before you go back to the rhythm you were playing by hitting a double down. That's another one of the secret sauce things, is a double down to make a breather before you go back to the down, down, up, or the tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down. So you can use that tap down up as a little emphasis before you go back to the tap downs. Does that make sense to everyone? If you can hear it? Okay, I'm gonna speed that up just a little. We'll do it one more time, and then we'll move on to hornpipes, and I'll show you how the same kinds of movements, but spaced a little differently, lend themselves to hornpipes, and then we'll also do the same sort of thing with polkas. So let's try this one more time, and then I'll pause for questions, and we'll work some of those things out before we move on. Let me just make this slightly faster, because that was sort of agonizingly slow for a slide. Okay, let me back it up, and let's try it here, and we'll go a little ways in, and then I'll stop it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tap down, tap down, tap down, tap da 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 dum, but da 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 dum. Tap down, 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 up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down. A couple of tap ups in the middle. So a double down is a good emphasis, or a double tap is a good way to sort of put a break between the pieces that you're running, if that makes sense, the little building blocks that you're using. And I'll pause for questions for a minute. Does anyone have any questions about that so far?
Christa, I see Linda, John saying that when we speed up, it's my left hand that gets tangled. Maybe
the bass note versus the closed notes. So you can always play the whole thing muted until your right hand gets comfortable, and then you can start adding a bass note like on every big one, not every one, but every other one maybe. So if the left hand is getting weird, you can do the down is always the big bass note. So you could do tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down. And I'm only unmuting the big one. And then that gives you a chance to practice the right hand. And then later you can add more, you can open the middle of the left hand more, like you can do the big bass and then the sort of intermediate opening. You can add all of those downs, tap down, tap down, tap down. But first you want to get used to having the right hand be straight. And then you can add the big bass note. And then you can try adding like 2 of those 3 bass notes. And then you can add all 3. And that's actually good practice. It's like additive and subtractive practice. That's good for practicing because every tune will be a little different. So like there's a, I don't remember the name of the tune, but it goes dum dee dum dee dum dee 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 dum dee dum dee dum dee 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 dum da dee 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 dum da dee dee dum. That's good for this 3-beat thing, you know, dum dee dum dee dum da dee dee dum dee dum dee dum da dee dee dum da dum da dee dum da dee dee dum. So, but with a different slide, it might be more appropriate to have just a 1. as opposed to the triple or a double. Depending on how the tune falls, if that makes sense. Did that answer your question, Linda? Start with everything muted, open one big bass note until you're comfortable, then try opening two big bass notes until you're comfortable, and then try adding the third big bass note in that pattern. Practice makes perfect.
We have Kathy from upstate New York asking, do you do this in top style too? And do you recommend one style over the other, top, across, or up and down? Or
So
in general?
I'm calling them up and downs, but if I don't know if it comes across on the camera, but I'm not going down and up as hard as we did yesterday. I'm sort of actually going at a slight angle back and forth across the drum at a sort of a 45-degree angle, which is a compromise between the top end people who go almost literally kind of back and forth across the top end of the drum and a little bit further down. So yes, you can do this too in the straight up top end style. I'm kind of a hybrid player. I mix and match depending on what rhythm my brain is reaching for, and I'm actually really unconscious about whether I'm using ups and downs and carry styles or back and forths or down downs, a whole bunch of downs or down ups. It just kind of happens. And the reason that I taught you yesterday everything with like downs and ups is because that's where the traditional Bodhran style started. If you can get to where instead of a straight down or a straight up, it's sort of an across the drum, up and down, and it gets shallower to where it gets more towards not straight across, but kind of a just below that angle, you'll be moving toward the positioning that the top end style players use. And that opens up, because you're not moving so much on the drum head, because you're in a tighter, more compact space, it opens up rhythmic possibilities that would be harder if you were working up and down against gravity all the time. Does that make sense?
In general, do you recommend one over the other? Top end or up and down? At an angle?
I began as a traditional player, and it does really beautifully for sessions. So the other reason I teach that first, before I teach some of the top end stuff, is because top end style tends to get, in my own opinion, this is just my opinion, somewhat busy, lots and lots and lots of notes, just because they do sometimes. And to support a session, which is where most of us will be playing, less is actually more. And so the spaciousness of the traditional style, the downs and ups with some spaces in them, and the occasional rolled triplet, I think lends itself quite well for traditional sessions. If you're playing in a session though, like the session that your local is a little less trad and a little more leans modern, like people don't mind a slight rock and roll beat from the guitar or the bouzouki or you behind it, then I would lean towards the top end style of playing, because you can do more rock and roll style riffs behind the music and you won't make them uncomfortable. It kind of sounds like a cop-out answer, but I hope that.
Do you find one easier to learn as a start?
Like I said, I started with the traditional, and I slowly incorporated, before I actually knew what it was, I slowly incorporated some of the top end style playing, but it was actually, I arrived there because I needed that style for the music I was playing with my band. They needed a more rock and roll style drum on the dance floor setting that we play in all the time. And so to create some of those grooves, I did unorthodox things, if you will, from the traditional standpoint, and much later discovered, I think that's why a lot of people have moved to the top end style, that that is a whole, like there's a whole group of people playing that way now, and that it is more commonly used. And that's because a lot of percussionists have discovered the Bodhran and its beautiful flexibility. It's almost like having a whole, not quite a whole kit, but you can mimic kit drum sounds on it with one drum when you travel, as opposed to having to carry a whole kit with you. So a lot of drum kit players have come to the Bodhran and brought the percussion training they had there to the Bodhran, and that's where you're getting the top end style. Okay. So if you started with that, it would be no harder to learn, really, than if you started with, I mean, if it's the first thing you learn, it's the first thing you learn, right? Yeah. So
the traditional was the only one I'd ever heard of for a long time. And then people were starting to do top end, and I thought, why?
Yeah, because it mostly started among people who are playing with bands,
Is it more
performance lines up.
Does it give it more flexibility or something?
It allows you more, it allows you to reverse directions with minimal drag if you're going to do a sticking pattern that's like down, 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 up, down, up, down, up. If you have a double down or a double up, you don't have to work so hard against gravity because you're going back and forth, down, down, up. And that double is where they eventually put triplets. Right, so making the triplets is a little easier, but we do triplets in the traditional style with, ooh, sorry, wrong stick for this. Let me get a longer sticks help. Right, so it allows you to do a lot of reversing, which gives some very complicated, syncopated rhythms without having to fight gravity. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, a lot of people who play with bands, who play very arranged sorts of songs, have moved into the top end style because it helps facilitate those kinds of really complicated rhythmic arrangements. Whereas in a session, nobody's going to ask you to play in 7/8 time behind some other thing, or to play, 12 bell behind a reel kind of thing. So, so they're both valuable. I don't think one is better or worse than the other, and I don't think one is necessarily easier than the other. It's just, I think the traditional style lends itself to a pretty easy start, whereas the top end takes a little bit more getting it under your hands before it starts to sound like music. I could be wrong though. If you started with top end, it might be pretty easy to pick up. So,
thank you very much. That's great.
Sure. I know it sounds kind of like a half answer, but
I have a question too.
Sure.
I have a question too, if that's okay. The down, down, up. The up is slower, right? A little bit. It's like
it's a little stroke and then the tap. It's an
I went down, down, up, down, down, up. It would be really fast, and so I have to delay it a little bit before I come on that up.
It depends on which rhythm we're playing. Sometimes the slight delay is after the big down, and sometimes it's after the up, and sometimes it's after the tap. With this one, we're pretty quick on the tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up shouldn't be any slower or any faster. Tap down, up, tap. So if you do that, tap down, up, tap.
Okay.
Try that. Tap down, up, tap. Yeah. Tap down, up, tap. Tap down, up, tap. That's if you just get that little piece. Tap down, up, tap down, up, tap down, up. It's really the same stroke as a down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. But we're tapping into the head a little bit instead of doing a double down. Does that make sense? Okay, all right. So holding on to those taps and down, down, ups and down, up, downs, we're going to use the same concept in hornpipes, but we're going to deploy them in a little different way because we've been playing in 12/8, essentially, or 6/8. The jig and slide players always debate, is it in 6/8 or 12/8? 6/8 or 12/8? It's like, well, 12/8 probably technically, but so we've been playing with that feeling. But hornpipes are in 2/2, 2/2, and so where the slides were like, one like N1, 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 the hornpipe is more like and a one, 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 and a one. So it has a different feeling. So when you have the hornpipe, they're doing their steps, they go ducka da da ba da ba da, ducka da da ba da ba dum, ducka da da ba da ba dum, ducka da da ba da ba dum. That's like and a one, and a one, and a one, and a one for us. So that rhythm translated with the down, up, downs and the taps and things, there's a basic, just a down, up, down, right? So it's literally just Down, up, down. So down, up, down, down, up, down. But there's a little bit of a hold. I was mentioning the sort of the, depending on what rhythm you're playing, there's a little tiny bit of a hold after the big down, down, up, down, down, up, tap, down. So down, up, down. Looks like most people have got it. That's a very basic da 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 dum ba dum ba dum ba dum down, down, up, down, down, up, down. I was giving you the wrong rhythm. My apologies. So let's do it this way. Down, down, up, 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 down. And that would be like da 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 dum ba da di da da dum ba dum ba diddle di dum ba di da dum ba dum ba da da dum ba dum ba da da dum ba diddle di dum ba di dum ba dum ba da da dum ba diddle di dum ba dum ba diddle di dum. Turning phrases. Down, up, down, down at the end. Da 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 dum ba dum. Da 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 dum ba dum, right? Da 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 dum ba dum. So if you're playing that down, you can do the, before you come back down to your down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So the down, up is like a little pickup. Down, up, da, da, da. There's a down, up, down, 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 tap, down, down, up, 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 down, 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 up, down, down, up, down. So those are those little turning phrases I was talking about before. Connective tissue. It's really, most of the rhythm is down, up, down strokes, but it has that light sort of swing, right? Tap, tap is a turning phrase. Down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, tap, tap, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, tap, tap, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, tap, tap, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, tap, tap, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, tap, tap, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, tap, tap, down, down. And that's sort of a basic hornpipe. But you see, it's using the same mechanisms, the down, up, down, tap, tap, down, down. So double downs with a bass. It's all sort of combinations of down, down, up, or down, up, downs, linked together in ways that are phrased out so that they emphasize a particular kind of swing. And so when you're playing straight up for a reel, it's just a bunch of down, down, ups, down, down, up, 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 down, down, up. But when you're using the same down, down, up, you know, it sounds different when you play it with a little bit of space at a slightly slower speed and with a tap or a double up or a double down or a double tap to sort of space it out. And I'll stop and take some questions.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions here. Wen has a couple of questions. Where's the beginning of the pattern phrase, and what's the wording for the pattern?
Okay, the hornpipe pattern starts with a down and a little bit of a hold. Down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 down. It's actually, it's, sorry, so the wording for that would be down, down, up, down, down, up, down. It starts with the down with a little hold after it. Down, there's a little bit of a hold before you do down, up, down again. So down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. 1, 2, 3, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. 1, 2, tap down. And that's the down, up, tap that I'm doing as a turning phrase. So down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, tap down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, tap down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, tap down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, tap down. The down, up, tap is the little turning phrase, the little connective tissue that sort of breaks a run of the down, up, downs so that it times with the music and shows you're listening to the turn of the phrase. And we're usually moving from like an A to the next A, or we're going to turn from the final A to the B section of the tune. And it's just a little embellishment that shows that you know where we are in the time and that it matches the tune. Does that help? Okay.
Okay, and Katie has a question. Can you go over your left hand again for this pattern?
Yes. So this one, so like I said, I'm doing a big down, which is open, right? It's just let's see if I can get close enough to be seen. I have to prop up a leg here. Hold on. This could be very inelegant. Okay. So when I'm holding my hand mostly near the center of the drum, because I am mostly playing here, down at the low part of the 45-degree angle, or right underneath where my hand is, or right on my hand, lightly on the drum. That looked like it froze. Hopefully it didn't freeze for too long. Okay. So I'm striking right about here and here on with the tipper. The big open note is about here, and the closed notes are right next to where my hand is, or right on the back side of where my hand is. So that's the positioning. And when I do the down and then it's open, right? I don't take my hand all the way off. I sort of leave my thumb connected to the skin so I can move around. I do the down, and then I put that thumb right on it and close it up a little bit, and I do the down, up, tap right up against where my hand is, and then I open it for the down again. So when you run it, in the background, it looks like this. I've discovered things you never know about your own playing, that I leave that finger on the drum skin very, very lightly so that I can move my hand back and forth depending on what I want to do with it. When I'm not moving up and down the skin, I'm using that as a positioning guide, and then that allows me to rock back and forth with my hand as I play that rhythm. Hopefully that answers that question. Yeah.
Yeah, we have just one more that's more of a general question for you from Shannon. She wants to know, at some point, can you cover how to pick a good sized drum for you and how to hold it to minimize its slipping when you're moving your left hand about?
Can definitely do. The sizing we'll talk about at the end of class, because that way we won't get too far off beam here. But in terms of holding it, yesterday in the beginning class, I told people if you put it on your thigh, if you're right-handed, it'll be on your left thigh, and if you're left-handed, it'll be on your right thigh. And then you roll it back towards your body so that it gets into your armpit, but not way back in your armpit, just sort of lightly in your armpit, so that it's up against your rib cage, right? It's making contact with your rib cage. The grip, and I hate to call it grip, the hold, because I don't want you to squeeze too hard, the hold for your drum is the tension between where the drum connects to your rib cage and the upper part of your arm where it comes over the drum. That grip or hold or tension is actually off the upper part of your drum. And if you hold it up against your rib cage a little bit, then when you put your hand in the back of the drum and you go to push on the drum, it shouldn't move a lot. It should be fairly secure. And the trick is you don't want it so far back that you mute your own drum with your body. And part of that will be drum sizing. And for women in particularly, the size of your breasts, because you can, if you have large breasts, you might need a slightly larger drum. But if you have it too far forward, it's only just barely against your rib cage, you're going to find that the place you connect with it is probably more about here, and that's going to be more of a tippy space. So I always get it just far enough back that I can just start to come around the edge of the drum with the top part of my arm and then bring my arm in. But there will be times when I'm moving around where I will push more with that part of the lower part of my arm. It's sort of like a 3-point grip, if you will, on the drum. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does.
I just would say that with my drum, I have a cutout on my drum.
Yep.
That makes a difference. You were just saying that. I'm like, I never really hold my drum with my upper part of my arm because
Right.
cut up. Yeah, so I think it kind of depends on what kind of drum
Yes.
you have and how deep it is and all that.
It will also depend, yes, on how deep your drum is. Some of you yesterday mentioned that you have cross braces. So if you happen to have a drum with a cross brace, you want to position it so that the cross forms an X with the widest V where your arm goes in behind. So that it's not a vertical like this. You're not trying to get into it this way. You want to rotate the drum so that cross brace allows you to come into a sort of a pie piece slice from the back. It's where you'll get the widest range of movement without running into one of the bars. And if you have a single bar, like Linda has a single bar, then having it either vertical or slightly forward of vertical, so either this way or very slightly this way, is probably the best place to put it, again, so that you have maximum range of motion, right? Okay.
I'm just going to tell you that we have 10 minutes left just for a time check.
Oh, actually, we go to 5:30 in this class.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Thank you for keeping your eye on the clock, though, because that also tells me I need to move along to polkas and then to the triplet exercises. So you guys can get started working on your top end triplets, because everybody wants to know about top end triplets. So I finally, between the last camp and now, sat down and figured out a way to teach it, hopefully. Hopefully you're my guinea pig class. We'll see if this works. But yes, Susan, thank you for keeping your eye on the clock. I get into what I call a timeless space where I forget that there's actual time constraints on us. So the same. Oh, I should, sorry, before I move along, I should ask, are there any other questions where we're at so far? Because we're going to use some of the same kinds of down ups and tips and breaks to create the next rhythm too.
Not in the chat, so.
Okay, all right. I will, we'll come back to some of these too, and I will give you my email address at the end of class so you can write if you have questions. We can talk over Skype or Facebook or something. I can help work some of those things out. So,
do you have a hornpipe we could play too?
Oh yes, thank you for the reminder. I think I just sang it at you, but let's do an actual hornpipe. Let's try. Oh, this is a lovely one. Billy McComiskey, who is a wonderful box player, has a great album called The Outside Track, or Outside the Box, which is fun to play with. So let's see. I'm going to check for tempo first. Let's see if this is a good way to go. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. I'm going to slow it down just a little bit. Okay, let's try that. Let's do our down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, downs against that. And then we'll also, I'll call a couple of down, up taps just along the way to see if that makes sense to you with the tune, but we'll give a little bit of practice to it at that tempo. And then we'll move along to the next one. So here we go. This is a hornpipe called the Balanakill. So down, down, up, 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 down, tap, down, down, up, 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 down, tap, tap, down, down, up, 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 down, how'd y'all get on with that? It looked like you mostly had it, yeah? It's kind of fun, yeah? Hornpipes, slides, polkas, they're all really happy tunes. So they have kind of a, I like hornpipes because they have kind of a happy lilty thing going on. So, okay, so we did slides, which are single jigs, which are usually really fast, and we did tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up, tap down, tap down, tap down, tap down, up. And now we've done hornpipes, which are down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, tap down, up, tap down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, tap down, up, tap down. It's all down, up, downs, and taps, right? But it always lands on the big downs, and that's the emphasis beat. And so polkas also use down, up, down, but they start with a down. Let's see, let me think about this. Let me pull a reference track real quick, get my brain out of hornpipes and into polkas. Yes, okay, so, ooh, that's gonna be pretty fast. Let me slow that one down. So, for polkas, that down, up, down we were doing, if you do, I taught you the gallop yesterday, which is down, up, down, 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 down, up. We're going to use that same kind of feeling, but we're going to do down. We're going to change the feeling of the down, up, down, so that it goes down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. Try that first, and then we'll put the tap in. One big beat on the down. Because the polkas are actually all about the and. Actually, we're gonna add, we're gonna do two things. That little down, up, down I told you when we just tried is kind of like a filler as well as a main beat, but it gets filled in between what I'll call boom chuck. You hear people talk about boom chuck all the time, and polkas when they're moving are really moving fast, and they're moving so fast that it's almost impossible to do the gallop. This is a reasonable gallop. Sorry about the trips, but a lot of polka players like to play them even faster, and then it's like it's going to be impossible to keep up. You'll strip, you'll tumble. So a very shorthand cheat for all of that is boom chuck, right? Boom chuck. It's just a big boom and a tap, which slowly sounds like nothing, right? Boom, tap, boom, chuck, boom, chuck. But when the tune is really moving, it's Does that make sense? So that little is just the down and down that we were doing a minute ago, but it's put in between those big boom chucks. So slowly, that's like boom chuck, chuck, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. So it's the emphasis on those is the chuck, actually. So the tune is going bam, 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 bam down on the floor, and we can emphasize that, or we can give it a little bit of lift with the off beat, so that it isn't all just down on the floor. It's more like up, 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 up. If that makes any sense, if the downbeat is going like this, we are the up, 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 up between those big downbeats, and we do that with the chuck, and we do that with the So rhythm for us to practice with slowly to get there is the down. So the down holds a little bit, and then it goes down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. So let's try that. So it starts with a big open down, and then you mute the drum again a little bit halfway up, and you go down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. It ends with the big beat. So let's try that for a minute. It goes down, down, up, 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 down. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, 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 down. So we're gonna use that with the chucks. Boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, down, 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 up, 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 down. How's that feeling out there? I looked at some of you and some of you looked like you had it, and some of you looked like, ah! It helps always to hear that against music. So let's have some questions.
Yeah, there's one question here. Is the tap a downstroke? I know you went over it just a little while ago, but can you just?
It often is actually a very tiny downstroke or a straight across to the head stroke. It's a small stroke. It doesn't move a lot, and that's why I call it a tap rather than like a down or an up, because it's just a tiny little hit to the drum. It is often moving slightly downward because of gravity, but it's just a little teeny tiny, probably a downstroke, or if you're a top end style player, little teeny tiny outstroke, but it's a little stroke because you're going down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. The tap's just a little tiny thing before you go down again, and it's usually on the way down. So even though it's a little tiny downstroke, I don't really call it like down, down, down. You are actually playing a lot of downs in top end style playing. Most of your strokes are made with gravity's help, and so they're a little bit towards the down with some ups in between or some back and forths in between. So hopefully that helps. The tap is actually like a little mini downstroke, not a big downstroke.
When you were calling off the second rhythm or the second half where it was a down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, and then kind of a boom, the open.
Down,
but when you're
down, up, down, down, up, down. So on the back, that was
right.
a big down open.
Right.
And then it was all down, up, down,
Right.
down, up, down, down, up, down, tap.
But when
down.
you're calling it and we're trying to play along,
Yeah.
it's just down, up, down, and the camera doesn't keep up with your.
Oh.
So I can't hear.
With
So
the vocal?
I can't hear with what you're saying. Oh, this is the one I was supposed to be big on. So I don't know if you want to say down, up, boom, or I don't know.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know I couldn't really
That's good to know.
know because the camera, actually when you were doing triplets, the camera couldn't even keep up.
Ah. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I apologize. That might be my internet or it might be the interface. But yes, I can try to remember to say boom.
Yeah, it's happening all the time.
Oh, shoot. That's terrible with a rhythmic thing.
Well,
Let me double check my internet real quick. I'm on the fast one. It's like
I think it's just the limitations of Zoom.
It is actually. I mean, it's happening with the fiddle. It's happening with the mandolin. It just happens.
But it's really bad when it's a rhythm instrument. Yeah. So yes, okay. I will use boom instead of down. I'll use boom for the big ones, and then hopefully that will come across without too many skips. But that is a very, very slow practice run against the rhythm that goes against polkas, because polkas, like I said, are pretty fast. But you can use that kind of gallopy thing, down, up, down, you know, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, with polkas. Dun, da, da, 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 dun. That pause between the boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom. There's a little tiny pause between the down, up before the boom, if that makes sense. And that gives it that kind of gallopy rhythm. Boom, down, up, 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 boom. That gives it that at speed. And when I want to go like dee 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 dee, as an emphasis, I literally just go back and forth, dee 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 dee, and then I go down again, boom again. So if you're playing a gallop, it would be like down, down, up, down, down, up, down, or boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, down, up, boom, 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 boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom. Down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, 2, 3. You're just going back and forth for 3 counts. Boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom, down, up, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, 1, 2, 3. So when you're playing at speed with a polka, it'll sound like right, that little matches some of the little notey bits in the polka, because mostly the fiddle players have it easy in polkas. They're just doing long push bows that slide back and forth, and it's just one bow. But everybody who's subdividing the rhythm behind them, guitar players and us, has this like, oh my God, that's so fast. So boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck is one very easy way to hold up with them, right? That boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck. And ever so often you sprinkle in that down, up, boom chuck, 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 down, up, boom chuck, 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 down, up, boom chuck, 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 down, up, down, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, down, up, boom chuck, 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 down, up, boom chuck, 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 down, up, boom. It looked like most of you had it. I see some smiles out there, so that's good. This is one of those, like, again, get some slow tunes to play to, or use the slow downer with your favorite tunes on YouTube, for example. There's a way to slow down the speed of tunes until you can play with them. And then conversely too, if you start with a slow tune, you can speed it up to help you speed up your timing too. So that is a basic stroke, the boom chuck and the down, up, down, tap down sorts of things that we were doing before, you can also use here with a polka too. So before we play with a polka tune, are there any questions from anyone so far?
Yeah, there's one here. What again is your backhand position on the boom stroke?
Okay.
Open or flat against the head, mid-head,
Okay.
or farther up on the top?
Okay, so let me think about that. Let me boom. So boom chuck, boom chuck. Again, I have that little finger on there, and I'm opening and closing up against sort of the center of the drum. So the boom is fully open, if you will, except for that one fingertip on the drum. And the chuck, I am actually hitting the head of the drum just above where my hand is on the chuck stroke. So I am actually moving up and down the head on this one. It's not as ergonomically efficient, but it gives a higher pitch to the chuck note without having to go all the way to the top of the drum to make the pop. So, you know, I was showing you the pop stroke, right? If I have to go all the way to the top of the drum to make the pop, and the boom for the boom chuck is way down here, I'll be going, right? I'll be going back, and I'm exaggerating a little, but I'll be going up and down the full face of the drum. So to make that a little less that way, I'm still striking the boom in the normal place, but when I'm making a modified pop, instead of going all the way to the top to make that cup, I'm hitting the drum head right about here, which is just above the center line, and I am hitting on the drum skin with my hand, sort of just above where my hand is, and I make a little cup there again so that I get a little pop out of it. So I get the open, so down, down, up, 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 boom, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, boom, down, up.
I'm going to ask a question. Christa,
Sure.
can you play that really fast and show your hand on the back?
Sure. So when
Thank
you're
you.
playing at polka speed, it's like this. And the boom chuck looks like this. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And it's speed is where you're going, but slow and clean is where you start. Obviously, it's just with the more sprightly rhythms, it's kind of harder to make it feel like a hornpipe or sorry, not hornpipes so much, but like slides or polkas without the speed. It's kind of like feels very lethargic if you're not going at some kind of rhythm, speed, tempo. But any other questions about polka, the basic polka stroke, before we play it up against some music?
None here on the chat.
Okay. We'll see if we can get a reasonably speeded polka that still sounds like a polka that you guys can practice that stroke against. But I want to sort of revisit the idea that the down up down, or down down up down, with two doubles, two double downs, or two booms, if you will, boom down up boom down up boom down up boom, to use the boom, is like the magic stroke for a lot of these different rhythms. Boom down up boom down up boom down up boom, or boom down up tap, you know, boom down up tap. Let's see, da 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 da. Down up down boom, down up down boom, down up down boom, down up down boom. It's all these little tiny broken apart down up downs with either a tap or a boom interspersed amongst them to make these sort of chunky bits of rhythm that you can then use in various places of the tune to fit the tune. So let's try this set of polkas, and hopefully they won't be too fast, but we'll do the boom chuck stroke first, which is very simple and very wide, and then we'll do the down up down down up, the boom down up boom kind of thing, boom dum ba dum ba dum ba dum, and then we'll go back to boom chuck, and then we'll go back to boom da ba dum ba bum ba bum ba bum, and we'll try to move back and forth between them and see how you guys feel about them. Okay, hold on to that thought, buckle up. All right, let me back him up a little bit. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom chuck, 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 boom down up down, down up down, down up down, down up chuck, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, 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 boom, boom, down, up, 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 boom. As they've moved on to their next polka. How did that feel? Do you want to try that just a little bit faster?
Yes, a little bit faster.
Okay, we'll amp ourselves a little bit towards polka speeds. Let me back him up. Back you go, Mr. Polka player. And let me notch that was at 3/4 of normal speed. Let's try 85% and see where we're at. And we'll try the same thing. We'll start with the boom chucks and then we'll do the down up downs. And I noticed all of you following me around the corner when I just called for a couple of down ups between booms, when I doubled the number of booms. So that was good. Means you're following well and you're listening to the music well. Okay, here we go. Let's try it at this speed. Sorry, so let's go. Boom, chuck, 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 down, down, up, down, down, up, boom, 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 boom, down, up, boom, down, up, doom, chuck, boom, chuck, doom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, boom, chuck, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, down, up, boom, boom, boom. Nice, you guys. It looked like everyone was following along. Feeling okay? Still feeling comfortable? Yeah? Okay. Now I'm going to push you out of your comfort zone. Now we're going to go a little closer to tempo, and then we'll move on and we'll do an exercise for triplets with top end style, and then we'll go back and sort of maybe revisit each one of the rhythms, the slide, the hornpipe, and the polka, and then we'll take some questions, okay? All right, one more go with polkas, but I'm just going to put you to your paces here. Remember that boom chuck is the easy option. Down, up, down, filling in some of the spaces between the boom chucks is the less easy option. And I'm going to put this at about, let's try 95% of speed. We'll come back and see how you guys feel about it. All right, everyone ready? Here we go. Let's see what we get. Boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom down up, boom chuck, 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 boom down up, boom down up, boom, boom down up, 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 boom, boom, boom chuck, boom chuck, chuck, boom down up, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom down up, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom down up, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom down up, boom chuck, boom down up, boom chuck, boom chuck, chuck, boom down up, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom down up, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom down up, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom. So you guys want to know a scary little secret? We're playing in half time. We're actually playing in half time to the polka as its actual time. This is the actual speed at which you will be playing. chuck, da 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 da, boom chuck, 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 boom chuck. Boom chuck. Let's do some fast boom chucks. Boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck. Woohoo! Well done, you guys. I saw everybody keeping up out there. That's pretty cool. Welcome to your first super fast polka. So the larger point I want you all to carry away with you is these little down up downs, or down 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 up down down ups, with a couple of taps or pops in between, or a couple of just motor strokes, down up down up down up down up, is how you build little rhythmic chunks that can be customized to the tune itself so that it has the right gallop or lilt or lift. So when you did the slides, you did, you know, bum ba bum ba bum ba diddle dee dum ba dum be dum ba diddle dee dum bum bum ba bum ba ba bum ba bum. That's just down, tap down, which is the reverse of the boom chuck. Boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck. It's swung a little bit, right? The boom chuck is straight ahead and square. Boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck. And the chuck is the emphasis we're reaching for. Even though we're hitting that big boom note, it's the chuck that is the like drive of the polka. Bum 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 ba da da bum 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 ba da da bum ba da da. Sorry, I'm now playing the slide as the polka, but they're very similar. So let's go. Da 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 ba dum ba dum bum ba da da dum ba dum ba da dum bum ba dum bum 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 bum. The and, or the chuck, is the part that gives it the lift. So it's not just bum ba da dum bum 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 ba dum bum ba dum bum 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 ba da dum bum 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 ba da dum bum ba dum bum 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 bum. If that makes sense, but it's still just downs and ups and taps. So when you did the slide, you did, you know, da 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 dum ba diddle dee dum ba dum ba dum, and then for the hornpipes, you did diddle dee dum din up down down up boom 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 down up boom. We're using some of that same stroke in the polka, but it's just deployed faster. It's still down up boom, but it's not played with that little bit of a pause and a swing in it. So instead of boom down up boom down up boom down up boom, it becomes boom down up 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 boom. It's the same stroke, the magic stroke, down up down, which is what guitar players have known for centuries, I suppose, or at least modern guitar players. But deploying it on the drum allows you, if you space it a little differently, to create a different kind of groove for each one of those tunes, and then you give a little sparkle to it with the taps or the pops or the holds, if that makes sense. And the more comfortable you get with each of the little pieces, the more readily, when you hear the tune, your brain will be like, oh, I'm looking for that, and your hand will go find it. You'll be kind of like, how did I play that? I don't know, but it worked, right? That's where you get to ultimately. Questions so far? And then I'll give you a quick exercise for the triplets, the top.
Yeah, Kathy has a question. She's having trouble coordinating both hands. Got the tipper hand pretty well, but not the back. If head muting and release hand is what she's talking about.
And training the two to work together is the biggest hurdle, I suppose, at the beginning. I introduce them both to you at the same time because, to me, the drum sings when you use the tonality with the strokes. That's what makes it beautiful. And I think the sooner you get to trying that, the better. And if you train those muscles together, left hand, right hand, then they work better together than if you like maybe just do right hand or just left hand. But if that is the case and you're like, okay, I'm gonna just mute the drum, I'm just gonna put my hand back flat against the back, I'm gonna get the right hand so that it's solid. I'll cycle back to sort of what I told Linda, which is Get the right hand rhythm solid, and then identify where you want your big bass note, your boom, on it, and put one and then mute it and do the rest of the rhythm pattern a couple of times, and then intentionally drop the big boom in again and do the rhythm pattern a couple of times, spaced out in sort of a long way. And then cut that in half, drop 2 big booms and then do the rhythm pattern for a bit, drop 2 big booms and do the rhythm pattern for a little bit, until you are more comfortable with placing those open pieces. And once you have the big booms in the right places, the rhythm and the boom will probably get to be quite second nature for you. And then it's kind of a fun experimentation to figure out where on the back of the head you get the exact tone pop you're looking for when you're looking for those in-between notes, because it's a little different for every tune. And you can find that you'll start sort of feeling around for it as you play the pattern, and your muscles will figure out, once you know where the sound you're looking for, you'll build a muscle memory for where to go on the back of the head for those in-between tones. So, you have your down, down, up, down, down, up, down, but there are, you can put them in different places. By playing with where you have your hand on the back of the head. Once you have that down, up, down solidly, then you can play with the back tone and figure out where you want to put those pitches, if that makes sense. Does that help?
Thank you. I've seen people do that and heard the result. I keep my hand keeps wanting to open backwards from where it should.
Open backwards.
Yeah. The reverse. It doesn't open on the boom. It opens on the chuck. I don't know why, but
that's I think your instinct is to get away from the complicated, because the downstroke with the boom on it is usually a very simple stroke, and then the complicated things happen, right? And I think your body's like, okay, I should get out of my own way while I do the complicated things, and you're pulling your hand off the skin, even though you would want to put it on there,
Too much thinking and not enough automatic, or not enough slower practice the way you suggest.
Yeah, and it's there are tools you can download for YouTube that will actually make it go really slow, but at really slow speeds, it almost doesn't sound like music anymore. Yeah. YouTube has sort of a way to, if you click on the little
I found that, okay, 50%, 25%.
Right, but there's also a little space most people overlook it called custom. And at the custom, you can set it to exactly the speed that feels right for you, so that you can notch it in between one of those spaces. That's what I was just doing for you guys. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
We got 4 minutes left here.
Okay. Well, I want to give you the triplet building exercise. It's called a pyramid exercise, just so that you can play with that. And then I have a sheet for that I'll put into the Google Drive, and I will also make rhythm exercise sheets for the 3 that we just did for slides, for hornpipes, and for polkas, and I'll put them in there too. It might take me a day to get those done, so I just kind of keep your eye on the bulletin board, and it'll be like, hey, or just keep checking the Google Drive, and periodically you'll see when it turns up, because I've got I have a backlog of stuff to put up there. So all right, so let's try. This is when I mentioned the top end style triplets, like when we do triplets in the traditional style, what's happening is, and this is much easier with a longer tipper, by the way, longer stick. The triplet in the traditional style is that you hit the downstroke with the bottom end of the stick. For those of you who were here yesterday, the bottom and the top end of the stick, the bottom is the part that points towards you, if you will, and the top is the part that points away from you. In a traditional triplet, we hit a downstroke, and before we hit the upstroke, we allow the top end to loop in towards the drum a little bit and strike the drum. So what you actually get is down, top, up. And that little stroke, it's like stirring cake batter with your stick, if you will. That down, top, stroke, down, top, stroke. When you play it at speed, that was messy, totally messy. Sorry. should be very even. I'm not very even today, I apologize, but it's called a triplet. Da-da-da-dum is what you hear, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, and it's a nice embellishment. And like I said, in the traditional style, it's a downstroke, tip, the top of the stick, and an upstroke. Down, top, up, 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 down, top, up. And it's how you make drum rolls eventually. On the top end style, they are accomplishing that without using the top end of the stick at all. So what they do to build it in, you just heard a little sort of example of it in some of the patterns we did before. At speed, they're doing all of the strokes with the bottom end of the stick. And the way they get there, a good way to learn it is to put 2 downstrokes or 2 upstrokes where you want the embellishment to be eventually. So if I were playing a motor pattern like down, up, right? The place I want the embellishment to be, I go down, down, up, down, up, down, up, 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 down, up, down, up, down, 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 up. And instead, down, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down. Let's slow that down. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down. Where each one of those downs is, we're going to go 1, 2, 3 instead of just 2 downs. So these are like the 2 downs, and we're going to add the and. Down, up, down is like 1 and 2. So we're going to go, instead of like down, down, up, we'll go 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1, 2, 3, up, down, up, down, up, down, 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1, 2, 3, up, down, up, down, up, down, 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1, 2, 3, up, down, up, down, up, down, 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, up, down. So can you feel how it goes down one time and up the other time? Your triplet divides the direction of your stroking. You start with an emphasis on the downstroke for the first triplet, and then when you do your triplet, 1, 2, 3, the next patterns run up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when you're playing laterally, not up and down, it'll be like forward 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, backwards 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, forward 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, backward 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. But the same idea is you're introducing a triplet where you want it at a speed you can control it right now. And then the pyramid part is you start like that, and then you do it twice as often, and then you do it almost every time you go to it. So the exercise would look like 1, 2, 3, up, down, up, down, up, down, 1, 2, 3, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1, 2, 3, up, down. Now I'm going to go to the shorter one. Down, down, 1, 2, 3, up, down, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, down, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. So that you are compressing slowly how often you're using the triplet. Does that make sense? It's called a pyramid because it's like an inverted pyramid. You start wide and you get narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower in the gaps between the triplets. And when you do it at a slow speed like that, the triplet is pretty easy to accomplish. And what you want eventually is to move yourself forward in your timing. So you're going. So that all your triplets are happening at faster paces. You can hear that they're not clean on me because I tend to use the old-fashioned rolled top end roll triplet because it's very easy for me, and I'm 40 plus years comfortable with it. But I'm trying to retrain myself to have the top end triplet at my disposal wherever I'm playing, because I was playing just before COVID shut us down a rock and roll Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl with a group, and we were going. And I wanted all those little triplets without having to turn. So that was my introduction to top end triplets. So I know we're kind of out of time for practicing much, but if you want to do a short run on the adding triplets, we can do that. And then I'll put the sheet in the resource in the Google Drive, and I'll make a video. I have to go back and make videos of each one of the patterns I taught for both of the classes. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to do that. But if you keep sort of checking back at that Google Drive, they'll begin to appear. And yeah, they'll slowly all turn up.
And there's also just this one question about you were going to go back and talk about the drum size as well.
Yeah. So body ergonomics, to some degree, thank you, Susan, for keeping track of that for me. Totally forgotten. If you are a large person, you may be more comfortable with a large frame drum just because, your physiognomy is going to make that more comfortable than trying to cramp yourself down into like a 14-inch drum. For reference point, this is 15 inches across and 4.5 inches deep. For me and my body, that's the best size. Some people I have no backward flexion in my hands. That's as far back as I can bend my hands. I can't make like stop signs out of them. And as you all were sort of trying the back hand stuff, you realize that it depends on you being able to get into the drum and get your hand up against the skin. And if you're in a much smaller drum, I have to be able to cock my hand farther and farther back to be able to get in to work on the skin, and I can't comfortably pull back in a smaller drum. So for me, this is the perfect compromise size between a relatively compact drum to travel with, a very stable head, and my ability to work the head. Now, if you have great backward flexion, there are some wonderful 14 and even 12-inch drums that are available out there that are very easy to travel with from camp to camp, and might have advantages tonally for you as a player. On the other hand, if you're more comfortable with a big frame drum, like your own frame is bigger, then a larger 16 or even 18-inch drum might fit your frame and your physiognomy and your mobility better. It's going to kind of come down to trying it on your body. For women, I say sometimes, if you are like, I have almost no boobs, so I don't have any natural muting devices on the side of my body when I play. So I can get away with the 15 as well. If I had very large breasts, I might be muting quite a lot of the drum, and I might need a slightly larger drum, like a 16, or maybe even an 18, depending on how much you're muting it when you have it pushed against your rib cage, where I sort of talked about positioning it before. So it's really kind of going to come down to figuring out what works best with your own body size. It's a pretty good bet. They tend to come in even sizes, 12, 14, 16, 18. 18 is pretty big. 16 or 14 are sort of work the best for most people. 12 is pretty small. Only a handful of people I know actually play them. I have a 15 because it's a custom. I had them build it for me in between. So does that answer the question? Yeah.
Can I comment on that?
Sure.
Because Christa helped me find a drum. We tried out, fortunately in her class, she had all the different sizes, and I wish I could have gotten a 50, but I got it. She suggested, and I got a 50 because, let me put this down a little bit. I'm fairly big breasted, so I do mute the side. And what's interesting, I'm going to show the backhand. When Christa was doing the boom and she would lift just one finger, because my chest was muting also, I could not get a good boom. I ended up either lifting with my thumb or sliding up to get a good boom, because I kept trying that. And I thought, why isn't this working? And I realized what was going on. I was having 2 mute points. I needed to get out of the way more. But but I am very short, and so people see me with this drum and are kind of surprised. If I can someday get a 15-inch, I would be really happy. And I may get a 14-inch just to play around with, because I might be able with a 14 to roll it away from. I've seen some people roll it away from their body a little,
Yeah.
and maybe stand. If I was standing, I can't stand with this very well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of even just the general thing about height and chest size, but also personal physiology. And
Yep.
so there's a lot of things. If you do get something and you are bigger chested, you might have to mute differently or release differently to make the sounds right.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. That's a great personal observation. And it's a hard answer to give because it's like I don't know each of your bodies, so I'm not going to be able to judge each of your physiques independently. But if you know someone who's got a drum, you can try theirs on for not just like the way it sounds, but like how it feels against your body, whether it works or not. And then if you know a few players at your session, I don't know where most of you are and whether you have access to them. It's good to be able to try on other people's drums first, like have a drum tasting, so you know roughly not just what size diameter you're looking for to fit underneath your armpit and up against your ribs, but also how deep a shell you can take. Like Susan's got a cutout on hers because her drum is quite deep. Now the advantage of a very deep drum is it has a great bass note because the shell helps with resonance, but it's harder to get in. And now some people have gotten to manufacturing them with the cutouts because that helps with access to the skin. But what it will do is make you always play in roughly the same places on the drum because you won't be able to rotate the drum around. There's nothing wrong with that, but what it means is you'll wear in that part of the drum and eventually you'll need to get another drum when that one doesn't respond to you in the same way because you won't be able to just sort of rotate it wherever you want to rotate it. With a drum that doesn't have a cutout, you can keep turning it all the time to sort of find the sweet spots and break in other spots of the drum. With a very shallow drum, it's easier to access the skin, but it's harder to get big, beautiful bass notes out of it because it doesn't resonate the same way. So you're looking for a drum that will be the right size for your frame and sort of the maximum depth you're comfortable with, again, based on your physiognomy, and then a head that is not too crazy stiff at the beginning. And if you're ordering online, you're probably not going to be able to judge that before you get there. But as I said yesterday, if you're really, slightly OCD like I am, you could call the people who have it and ask if someone could play it into the phone. It's not going to be a great judge, but it might be something. Or you can look for websites that have clips of people playing them. Or you can go out and look at Bodhran players online who are playing that you see a YouTube video of theirs that you like. And either if they mention the drum they're playing, like gravitate towards that kind of a sound, or write to them, because a lot of them have contact info, and ask them, where they got their drum, that kind of thing. There's multiple avenues. Now, yesterday I was asked for a resource list, and I have got some of the drums that I recommended already ready to go to put into that. I just haven't had time to type it up yet. But there are a couple of makers that are putting out drums right now that are fairly reasonably priced and fairly broken in when you first get them. When you get a new drum, you have to beat it quite a lot to soften the head. It's going to sound quite stiff when you first get it. But I mentioned yesterday, Rusbeck is making some decent drums. I think, Linda, your drum was a Rusbeck, right? Yeah. How long, just curiosity, how long did it take you to feel like it broke in to be a little more supple?
Well, it was because I took it to Dickens Fair, it got really broken. It actually had a kind of a unique humidity and then drying. It's like I had to do a lot of that. So but it's really not fair. I took it out to John and he did all sorts of nice stuff to make it better. So
okay.
And that took care of, he smoothed it. He did a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So it got broken in pretty quickly.
Okay.
But I felt, even when I first got it, I felt when I brought it. So when I got it, I was at Lark camp because I fell in love with the Bodhran and I ran over, and the only 16-inch was this really deep one. And I actually had them agree to give it to me with a 24-hour trial so I could have Christa look at it. And I thought it sounded pretty good. I was happy with it right away. I don't feel like it needed a lot. But then what John did to it was way better.
Okay, so thank you, Linda. That's a sort of a, I gifted a drum to a young man who really wanted to play and couldn't afford one after camp, and I sent him a Rusbeck as well, and he also said that it broke in quite well and was playable right away, so that's a possibility. And then Walton puts out some, and then there are the named makers. The reason I haven't mentioned like a named maker yet is because they're usually more expensive. A drum like mine from a named maker is probably a $300 or $400, sometimes higher investment, whereas the sort of Rusbecks and the Waltons probably are closer down to like 150, 175, maybe as high as 200. I don't know, but so there are, but I mean, makers like I'm looking to the right and I see Seamus O'Kane. He's one of the good ones. Christian Hedvigshak is one of the good ones. Malky Cairns does some. There are some makers in the United States who make oh, my brain has just died. He's in Texas. There's two in Texas. One is Rob Faulkner, whose drum company goes by, it looks like Metloff. He calls it meatloaf because it's a play on the Irish and how it never looks like it sounds. But Metloff drums, they make some really good drums. And then Albert Alphonse was the name I was looking for. His drums, just know, they have a brass tuning ring in them, which is quite heavy, and they come with an intentionally very, what I would call a hot head on them, a very stiff, very tight head for people who play top end style and play really loud rock and roll band type stuff. So he makes good drums, but they're for a particular kind of sound. So I'll put some of those together in the resource list, and you guys can have a look at it. And then, yeah, I'll put the exercise sheets together, and it'll take me a little while to get all the little video clips together, but I'll keep nibbling away at them and putting them up there so that you guys can have a look at them. I intended to do it after the last Lark and never got the chance, so I'll make a point to do it this time.
How tall are you with a 15-inch drum head?
I'm 5'6.5" roughly. I mean, I used to say 5'6 3/4", but I'm about 5'6.5", and the 15 works quite well for me. I have kind of a short torso, so it's not too big, not too small. But really, for me, the reason it works, like I said, is because I can't pull my hand back very far. So the attack on the drum works perfectly for me at this depth, which is 4.5 inches and 15 across. But I started with an 18-inch drum long time ago from Charlie Byrne. He was a famous maker back in the day. Big, heavy, beautiful 18-inch goat, and have worked my way down sort of steadily since then. And this is I tried a 14 for a while and it didn't work for me. So you'll have to experiment a little too. If you can borrow drums from anyone to try them on at the beginning, that's a great way to go. Otherwise, yeah, check about the return policies of any place you order in case you get a drum that you just really don't like and want to return. Hopefully you'll come up with a drum that you do like.
I have a 16-inch diameter, which I think is too big for me.
I'm
only 5 feet tall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'd do a big drum on you then, yeah. And it looks kind of big looking at you now, yeah. Because I can see it's all the way up by your shoulder basically while it's on your, yeah.
Yeah,
so
I have a 16-inch, but I have it for a different reason.
right.
I wish I could have a 15. That would be nice.
Right. Maybe a good clue, because I'm telling you about wanting to roll it back underneath your armpit for positioning. If you have the drum on your leg and you roll it back and it's too tall to get underneath, I don't mean underneath like this, right? I'm not talking about that, but if you roll it back and it only gets about this far under your armpit because it's quite a tall drum, it's as tall as your shoulder blade maybe or higher, it's probably too big for you. But if it is maybe an inch or two below where your shoulders top out and it goes back with about this much coverage, maybe 2 inches, 2.5 inches or so. If it's short, like it's this tall on you, for example, and there's a gap, and you can roll it too back, then it'll be too small for you. Unless you really want to be one of those guys who hunches down over their 14-inch drum and plays like this. John Joe Kelly, who's a big guy, one of the best in the world plays a 12-inch drum all hunched over like that, and it works fine for him, but he's, it's going to be different for everyone.
If you get a drum with crossbars, can you just take them out, or is that going to risk the structure?
I've known people who have. It won't necessarily risk the structure, but I don't know how. I wouldn't want to perform surgery on my own drum personally.
Right.
And then you'll have the little stumps which you'll want to shave, and it would depend on how sturdy the shell of the drum is. If it's a really thin shell, I probably wouldn't disturb the braces because they're probably helping it keep stable on the round. If it's a slightly thicker shell, though, they might be removable without too much grief. It depends also whether they're screwed in, nailed in, or just glued in, and whether they come through to the outside of the drum shell, because I've seen all different kinds.
Yeah, I was imagining screwed in, so.
Yeah, screwed in. The screwed in ones, you can pull them out for a little while and try it and see what you get, and then screw it back in if you don't like it. So there's multiple ways to experiment. The ones that I most often get asked about, and I've seen a couple of different cross-braced drums on if they are glued into a divot on the inside of the shell of the drum, I probably wouldn't mess with them because they are probably more structural than additive after. If it's a really shallow drum, though, it might be, it's so hard to tell without seeing your individual drums up close. I generally tend to say I want to respect the structural integrity of the drum, but and learning to work around the cross braces will make you a more inventive drummer. But they're, generally speaking, the evolution, if you decide to stick with drumming because you've fallen in love with it and you really like it, most people tend eventually towards a drum with no cross braces in the back. The tuning ring is what keeps it stable at that point, and the tension of the head on the frame evenly is what keeps it stable, and that allows you the maximum movement on the back of the drum.
Christa?
Sure.
Hi, Kira. So mine was actually designed to be removable. So since I'm a beginner, should I learn without them?
I would try it without them personally, because I think you'll have more ability to spider around the back of the drum without running into it. Some people really like the cross brace though. They push against it on yours isn't too shallow. Is that about a 3.5 inch, 4?
No, I think it's more like a 4,
Yeah.
at least 4 inches.
You'd probably be able to get away with that one with the cross brace out, and it'd be
worth
having out, I think.
Yeah, this is a Malachi Kearns.
Yeah, he makes some really good drums too. So if you can remove it, what I would do is try it without it for a while.
Okay.
And if that feels really comfortable, I would leave it out. If you notice any slight warping of the drum, I'd put them back in again. But since it looks like it's made to be removed, I would say take them out, give it a spin. And then if you don't like it, you can always put them back in,
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great. Anyone else? I'm looking across at all the beautiful squares. I can't believe how many of you stayed. There's 30 of you still here. God bless you all. Maybe some of them might be asleep. You never know with the names, but I'm just delighted that you all stayed through the class, and I hope you will all fall in love with this drum. It's like I said yesterday, it's a talking drum, and when played beautifully, it can add so much lovely bass and spice to what's going on with the melody, as long as you don't dominate the conversation. That's the sensitivity and sweet spot, is to be present and felt, but not overwhelming.
Christa, I have a question.
Sure.
Does anybody ever percussion off the back of the drum?
Yeah, actually, there's I've seen 2 people do it. I can't remember the name of the second fellow, but there's a phenomenal, very unorthodox but wonderful Bodhran player in Ireland called Ronan O'Snoddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Susan's nodding her head.
Yeah.
His name is spelled it's one of the great, Irish, many syllables and consonants, and it just sounds like O'Snoddy when you say it. But Ronan O'Snoddy he uses, a clave bar. You have the round clave that you click together wooden wise for tones. He uses one of those on the back of the skin, not only to pitch with, but also as its own percussion. So he'll play, let's see if I've actually got, do I have one with me? I don't think I do. I think I took them out, but let's just pretend that the bone is a clave. And I won't be able to do this at all, but he'll do things like, he'll play the front of the drum, and he'll do like, you know, he'll play the back of the drum, and then he'll also pitch. So what he's actually doing is taking it, he's not necessarily clicking the rim, he's running into the rim from the backside for the click, and then coming back to the skin, to the rim, to the skin, to the rim, to the skin. And he times it with like motor strokes at the front, and he gets like, you know, bomb, 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 ticka, ticka, bomb, bomb, bomb off the back. It's freaking brilliant. You can look it up on YouTube and see it. But and I tried it one time so I could bring the like, I can't play this, but I want to show you that it's possible, to my Lark classes. And I don't know that anyone ever, I clearly didn't go out and learn to make it happen myself, but you know, it's for me, I could not coordinate. That was, if you think coordinating the tone and the drum is harder, for me, I couldn't, like a kit drum, I don't know that I could ever play it, because I'm so tied together, right and left hand, that I couldn't disconnect them to make that left hand do one rhythm and the right hand do another rhythm. It just, maybe if I practiced for 2 years, I'd be fine. But it is possible, and it is a very neat effect. But I would probably not deploy it in a session. I'll just say that I would. Use
That's what I figured. It probably would not be accepted there. But thank you. Yeah, I haven't tried with the clave. Maybe I should try that. But I found myself beating on the inside a little bit.
Yeah, and there's another player. I cannot bring their name to mind. It's a woman, and I can't remember her name. And she has done some of that. She uses her hand on the left. She plays with one of the step dance troops up in the Bay Area. Oh, Sheila? No, shoot. Anyway, she does. And then, Linda, don't you do something where you roll your fingers against the back of the, was that you in my class? Someone was doing a march rhythm and doing like.
That wasn't me, but I remember that. Somebody had that. It was in our intermediate class.
Oh, it was Daleen Gocklin. Yeah. She's a player out of Reno, Nevada, and she does like a roll against the back of the head with her fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's a nice little ornament. It's a very small, subtle, but they're a thing, and it's really cool, actually.
Yeah, and it seemed like a more doable, what am I looking at? Something you could accomplish to add, because we're already moving our hand and our fingers a little bit.
Right.
So
I'm just gonna put that up for a minute so I can stop being all doubled over. Whew.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I've heard that people playing with the tipper on the side as well. It, clicks with the tipper on the side, the front.
It's called a rim shot or a rim stroke, and I hear it a lot in jigs. It's again one of those things I would use very sparingly, because I'll demonstrate it. It is a statement piece. It's really loud, right? Some people play it off the back side of the drum. I would, again, limit that in sessions. I would only use it ever so often and very sparingly, because while it's a really neat effect, it's quite dominant. It's like, whoo. And generally speaking, if you're going to try it and experiment with it, it would be on an upstroke or a backstroke, one that's being pulled back in towards the main, because you're coming back along the outside, or if you roll it away from you, forward from the back of the drum, but you'd want to incorporate it like in the down, down, up, 2, 3, down, down, click, 2, 3, down, you know. So I can't even do it that way. 1, 2, 3, up, and 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 1, 2, 3, up, that kind of thing. It's really annoying in reels.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed the class, and I'm house sitting, so my tipper is a wand.
That works. That's great. She played with a magic wand. That's so cool. I said to people before class started, like, you can bring anything you can to strike with. Just make sure it's not going to damage the surface you're striking. That's all. Like, pens, pencils. The classic Bodhran joke is, what's the best thing to play a Bodhran with? And they're like, a knife. It's like, Bodhrans can be quite unpopular at sessions because when they are badly played, loudly, out of time, with no sensitivity, they can ruin a session. So know that you are taking up an instrument that has to be played with sensitivity and delicacy, because it comes with a lot of baggage. You have to prove to people that you know what you're doing before they relax and feel okay to have you playing. Chris Caswell used to say, Bodhran players for social acceptability or social responsibility. And less is more. Don't play every set. Give the session a chance to breathe. When you do play, like I said, pitch yourself in volume with the rest of the accompaniment, like the guitar players or the bouzouki players, so that you are no louder than they are necessarily. Also, if they're on a particular rhythm, see if you can use one of these building block rhythms to kind of match them or complement them, so you're not making two different rhythmic pushes in the session. It's all there to lift the melody, because melody's king. So yeah, that's my 30-second soapbox on be a sensitive Bodhran player. You can always mute the drum and play along to everything, just so that you can get the rhythms under your hands and play with a bunch of things without disrupting the session. If there's a second Bodhran player there, you can do that kind of thing too. Sometimes in sessions with lots of Bodhran players, I often will show them, like, I'm muting the drum kind of thing, and then I just kind of practice. I usually put my head really close so it's obvious that I'm being really, really quiet. I'm not trying to steal their turn at the tune. And then you trade, one Bodhran player gets it one time and another one gets it another time, so that everyone gets a chance to play. But again, let the session have some times where there are no Bodhran players playing so it can breathe.
The other thing that you taught us that's really helped me a lot is, if a tune starts, if you're the only Bodhran player there and they're perfectly happy to be in there, but the tune starts, you just listen and maybe tap out just get the beat, listen to it, decide, add a little bit, and don't go in full speed until you really understand the tune.
Right. It's sneaking in to the place where people will know that you know the tunes and you understand the session, and but if you like walk in, sit down, and announce yourself with a big hot Bodhran, that's a great way to not win friends.
What Linda said should actually be true for every instrument.
It's true. It's good session etiquette. Listen for a little while. I think I said this after they stopped taping the class yesterday. I was like, listen for a little while, get a feel for the way the session is running, how the tunes flow, like what the pulse is. Is it a lot of modern tunes, or is it a lot of sort of like slower old traditional tunes? Is it a slow session, medium session, a hot session? Who's leading the fray? How do they trade the tunes around? Are the guitar player and the bouzouki player, if they're there, or someone else, already holding down a certain amount of ground, do they want to yield it? Like, you learn to listen to the ongoing dialogue before you start talking with them, and it is a musical conversation, right? So your bit that you add should be an interesting point in the conversation, but not dominating the conversation. So yeah, which I am doing right now by talking endlessly. Does anyone have any questions before and I can let you all go?
I just had a quick comment, Christa. I sent you an email with all the links that I posted yesterday. Oh. So if you want to copy and paste any of those,
thank you. Do that. I haven't close to my email yet. I dropped into for like a 2-second, and I saw something there too, which I haven't responded to. I apologize. I'll get back to you soon.
Yeah, I don't need to reply. I'm just saying for your resource list, if you want to reuse any of that, feel free.
Thank you, definitely, and thank you for being very helpful with that yesterday and today. And Susan, thank you so much for being an excellent moderator today, for keeping control of the room and asking your own questions and adding to the dialogue. So thanks.
I just want to say to everybody who's left, thanks for, thanks for the lesson. It was fantastic. And to consider donating if you can to
Yes.
LTA. We're coming to the very end. We have just the evening now for the performances, and some of them are essentially sessions too. So if you can and you feel like that's what you want to do, we would really appreciate that. And thank you so much, Christa, for being such a good teacher.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you all for being my first run experiment on this particular set of building block types of explanations. Feedback, does that work, not work? Is there something I can do better for you next time?
I thought it was fantastic. We got a lot of information. There was that, but everybody's got a recording, so you can go back and listen over and over and over again.
That is my hope, yeah.
Yeah.
At camp, where we have 5 days and also sessions in between and one-on-ones around the edge of class, and it's a lot easier. But here this weekend, because I work a day job, I couldn't do any of the early part of the week, so it was really only going to fit into the weekend.
Yeah, but the good thing about it is that you gave us a lot of information, and you couldn't get it all in one, but you introduced everything, gave really good instruction and actually showing us. And so now people, if you really want to learn this, it was all there. So I really like that part of it.
Cool.
Great.
All right, well, thank you.
I
I'm
like
gonna
it.
keep polishing it.
For me, it would be helpful to see like just the down, up, down, up, down, up right now. Like even in, well, either the music or just like shorthand, just like the words, because.
Oh, that's right. Yesterday you posted the verbals.
Yeah, like that kind of style, just like a dumbed down version.
I will make a separate sheet. Let me remember to write that down. I'll make
Oh, that's okay. No, I mean, if you have the sheet music, that's fine, but I'm just saying,
well,
in a class, it's helpful for me to follow, because once you started looping it, I was like, I don't know where the loops are.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Noted. I can also try to work on that too with either the booms or the ones or something like that to make it clear where we're starting when we loop back again. It's easier. I didn't talk about time feel, but when you're playing as a melody player, or the melody carries you a certain distance in time because the melody takes a certain amount of time to get through. And when I'm playing with you guys and running patterns, I have a melody in my head as I lilt it out occasionally, and that helps me know how far I've traveled in time. But also, over the years, I've developed a sense of we've traveled 4 bars, 8 bars, 16 bars, 32 bars, like you can feel distance in time. And that, when you're not having to think so hard about what you're doing with your hand, I think will come back to you as you get used to and you'll feel where the loop, the top and the bottom of the patterns are, so to speak. But right now you guys are like, so many ththings to think about at once, right? And it's hard to feel that distance in time because you're coordinating left hand, right hand, ups, downs, pops, down. And I knew it was probably going to be challenging today, but I wanted to try to give you something to shoot for, because at camp I've often had the intermediate classes often ended up being like basic plus, which is fine if that's what's needed. But here online, because they're going to have 2 different recordings, I kind of wanted to give the basic classes a real basic and the intermediate as something might be a little uncomfortable for the folks here, still gettable, still playable, still at speeds that are achievable, but with a little bit of a push up towards where you're going next with your drum. And then those 2 hopefully will act as bookends, I hope.
Hopefully, the recordings can also be slowed down. I think they probably will be able to be slowed down as well, so that you can actually work your way up. You can start at wherever speed and work your way up too. So that's good.
Yeah. And hopefully you guys will fall in love with this drum. I know it looks like Linda might have gone, but Linda was in my beginning class one year and my intermediate class the next year, and is clearly still playing and coming back to learn new nuggets from all kinds of places. So she did fall in love with the drum, which is pretty cool. I'd say I probably get 1 or 2 out of every class. At Lark, I've had anywhere from 20 to 25 students at the top of the week. And by the end of it, I'll be down to about 15 really, and then I would guess I maybe get 1, maybe 2 out of that who will like keep going with it. So My hope always is, like I said, that you'll fall in love with the music that can be made with it, and then have great joy adding to that musical conversation that's being had already when you go to your sessions. You can sing with this, like literally sing with this. So you can learn to accompany yourself while you sing, and learn to accompany other people. So yeah, I hope you guys will love it. It's a really beautiful, underrated, very versatile drum. Like I played it against the swing tunes last night, so I could practice different rhythms with swing players. I played it up against one of the Balkan and Bulgarian things. The beauty of doing the online session is nobody out there can hear you, so you can experiment with all those little, like, oh, that is in 5, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, or what, I'm in 7, I think, but but it's like you can try your tap tap down up tap down 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 up down 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 up, and you can experiment with that against Greek rhythms and Balkan rhythms, and it's a drum that can be played in any tradition. You just have to figure out the mechanics of making those odd metered rhythms come through. So yeah.
I would just say that I fell in love with the drum in 2007 when I first came to Lark. And I started playing the drum because I was a dancer for all of my, time. And then I couldn't dance anymore because I started getting fractures in my feet. So I picked up the drum for the purpose of being able to dance. And it is really, the way I dance is dancing with the drum. And, that made me fall in love with it. So it's if you can, and if you just love Irish music, and I grew up with it, so I do. But yeah, it's so versatile, and there's so much that you can do with it, and it brings so much happiness when you can go into a session and really play well and know how to behave and learn the rules, and and then add to the session in a way that everybody should be, hopefully, when they're coming to a session, is to just figure out what it is you can add to it. And it's very subtle sometimes, and mostly with the drum, it's subtle, but it's just, and then the experiences that you have in sessions, and also the people you meet and the friends that you get, and it's just, it gives you the in to be able to actually go in and play and be a part of it.
Right. Yeah. So, and it's if you've been around the music a long time, like you have, people sometimes don't believe that we know the tunes the way the melody players do, and I'm always happy to disprove them by playing through a tune, and being like, I can't play the exact notes, but I can play almost all of it for you here on the drum. Oh, that was something I was going to mention and I really didn't. You have a choice as a Bodhran player, well, as any rhythm player. You can play the melody da 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 da, or you can play something very straight, not the melody. They're both different choices. Some people just see a Bodhran player as a timekeeper. And they'd be quite happy if that was all you did, was just keep time for the session. Other people are happy to hear you play. Maybe you can do both. So you can be like, I will show you at first. Of both until you figure out which one they're happy with. But some people want a very steady beat, please be our metronome, and other people are happy to have you play pieces of the melody with them. So you have that choice, and you have that palette. You can, especially like with reels, it can be a good, when you're playing with a session, even sort of a nice, if you know that your session tends to play 3 times and switch a tune, plays 3 times and switches a tune. Sometimes they go longer, but if you know that, you can build these arcs of the drum as well. So you can play like a very basic rhythm the first time around, something a little more complicated the second time through, and something that really lifts the tune or pulls back to like a, you know, like a little holding pattern before we move to the next one. It's all about tension and release, you know, so building a musical arc with the drum and the players as well, so that when you get to the end of the set, everybody has this sense of, you know, and that's also learning how your session, who in your session prefers to play how, and that comes with time. But again, as a Bodhran player, you get, that's your choice, is how you can shape the feeling of the set with being more musical or more straight for meter time, or being a little more like lots of bass notes or not bass notes. Those are all motor strokes without any real syncopation, but they just have a different feel. And so depending on what's going on with the tune, you know, you can shape the way your accompaniment helps them. So I don't have enough time in an hour and a half to go through all the artistic choices of your drum, but that's a whole nother class, is like how you learn to make your drum musical. And it's not just the tone, although I try to introduce the tone to everybody right away so that you can learn to make the drum sing on its own. But then it's whether or not you, yeah, you know, whether you make your presence more known, whether you pull back, do you decide to syncopate a certain part of the rhythm? Do you decide to lean straight forward into it? Do you drive with the guitar player? Let's drive this reel home. You know, what do you do? Those musical choices. Once you have all those building blocks, you'll have ideas. And like any other musician who's, you know, accomplished on their instrument, the idea translates before you even think about it into something that you're doing on your drum. And that's where you really get to fly, you know, and that's the part that is, I've been in a contra dance band, same band, for almost 20 years. And there is, any given contra dance lasts 8 to 10 minutes. We'll pick 3 tunes to play in that time. So we'll play it pretty straight the first time around, and then we'll start to mess around with a little bit of improv, a little bit of rhythmic pushes. We'll build up to a point where, you know, you can feel, the dancers can feel there's a change coming, and then we change tunes. It's usually a key change, maybe a little bit of a tone change. That middle tune is usually something that's a little bit dropped down in terms of dynamics, so that the dancers can feel like we've built up an arc, now we're coming to the, I know there's a big climax coming. So when you shift into that third tune, we start to build dynamically until you're just like, the last time, the dancers can feel it as you build up. And I'll tell you, you know, like on a big reel tune, our band almost has a cliche, like the last time around, the caller will give you 3, like there's 3 left. When we see that, we pull way back down, and I'll get like, while the fiddle player or the mandolin player do something after having made all those big beats earlier, you know, and then as we get round to the tail end for the last tune, I'll get a little louder, and then I'll go, you know, you build tension and then you release with the big statement at the end. It's very viscerally satisfying too. So, but you wouldn't do that necessarily in a session. There's a different way to do it in a session though, and that is, you know, without getting big and loud, is to just have more of the bass notes. If you haven't been playing as many bass notes and you come to the tail end of the reel, it's the last reel in the set, and you can tell, you can drop a few more of the bass notes in, whereas if before you were going, it's like, here we go at the end of the tune, done, right? So dynamics, I should have had a whole conversation on dynamics.
You probably wouldn't do that build up at the end of every contra dance though, because that would get to be a cliche.
Right, we don't. And there's an arc to the evening of dances too. You know, the dance caller will program dances to have like an energy arc as well. And so we might then do a beautiful jig set. After a big climactic reel set, we'll pick like a jig set, and we'll do sort of a quiet, lovely, flowy kind of a thing. And even there's a finish to the set, but it's not a climactic finish. It's more like a gentle at the back end. It sort of sighs away. So I don't know if any of you have the opportunity to to play with a set group very often, or to,
Yeah.
those are ideas you can take to, you know, shape the way you build and bring down the energy, right? Yeah, I see Kathy waving her hand.
I play for contra dances too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I used to call. Which band are you with?
The Syncopaths.
Oh, okay, yes, right. That's
That's
why your name's familiar.
Ah, yeah. Oh, Heather, you must know us then. I saw you clapping, so that's cool. Yeah, we have not been able to tour the East Coast very often. It's pretty expensive to bring 4 people out there,
Right.
so we have to have like a big weekend for an anchor. But we love getting out there. And pre-COVID, we were lucky enough to be playing 4 or 5 big weekends a year. But that's a kind of playing. Someone asked me yesterday. So apologies to Wen, I know you heard this. Someone asked me yesterday, what do you love best? The session, the contra, or the concert? And I did say then that's like asking, you know, a parent to choose their favorite child, which is ridiculous. But thinking about playing for contra, Kathy, right? It's a very different social experience that allows you to play a lot more dynamically and rhythmically with tunes than you would get to do in the session.
Yeah.
The session is, you know, more, even if you're playing more modern tunes that have some syncopations and things, the session is more like a small communion where we're all, I think I said yesterday something like we're all inside the music while we're trading the tunes together, we're communing together. The contra is about moving an entire room full of people, whether it's 50 or 200, and it's a different kind of energy, and it goes on at a different length, and it allows you to build different kinds of conversations with the dancers and to manipulate them. So
different kind of community feel.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great, but it's where I learned a lot of the dynamic stuff I've been trying to bring to you guys as an introduction. Is I had the luxury of time in the contras to experiment with all that stuff, whereas in a session you have maybe less time to experiment with it.
I know you've been on some of Claire Takamori's series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were trying to find ways to play together. We didn't get all together as a band until the end of June.
Well, I hope it can stay that way all together. You know,
that's too. Thank you.
Kind of threatening to go back to lockdown or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pop off here. I'm gonna because I have to take Peter Kaysen over to. You don't
Please
know all of that.
Give him my love because I haven't seen him lurking in the background. But yeah, give him.
Yes.
Susan.
So I'm going to stop the recording now, but if you guys can stay on, I mean, without a problem. So just know that it's not going to be on the recording.
Just remember when you stop it don't close your computer right away.
Yeah. No, I won't.
Oh yeah, it has to write. Thank you. When someone yesterday was like, oh, they lost part of the recording because they.
Yeah, no, I'm going to keep it open, and I've done it several times this weekend.
Thank you again, Susan. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you
It's
all.
so nice to see you again. You know, like may we be together soon. Like I said, give Peter a giant hug. My love to both of you, and I hope we end up together again in the not too distant future.
Yes, exactly. All right. See you later, all.
Bye.